Sometimes I feel we as adults overlook the significance and the importance of social connections, especially when it comes to school. Academic success is usually what we pay the most attention to, and that is not necessarily wrong, but I do believe it's incomplete. This is Coach A.T. Moore, and this is a different conversation. If you are a fan of music made in the 90s, that probably means two things. One, you recognize good music, and two, you'll probably recognize the lyrics to this song. Now, I'm going to try to just read the lyrics and not sing them like the melody in my head. So let's just see how this goes. See if you can recognize these lyrics. Every now and then, I get a little crazy. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Sometimes my vision is a little hazy. I can't tell who I should trust or just who I let trust me. Yeah. People try to say I act a little funny, but that is just a figure of speech to me. They tell me I've changed because I got money, but if you were there before, then you're still down with me. Yeah. What about your friends? Will they stand their ground? Will they let you down again? What about your friends? Are they gonna be low down? Are they gonna ever be around? Or will they turn their backs on you? Well, it's me. Can it be I'm a little too friendly, so to speak, hypothetically? Okay, all right. If you have never heard of the lyrics, or if that's not familiar, it's actually by a group called TLC in the 90s, and the song is called Friends. No, the song is called What About Your Friends? If you've never heard of it, I'm gonna link the actual video in the show description so you can get caught up on some really good 90s music. And here's the fact: when I was researching the lyrics to make sure I said them correctly, I learned that Lisa Left Eye Lopez, rest in peace, was actually one of the producers that penned the song, along with Dallas Austin. It is actually one of my favorite songs, and I really wanted to include it in the video, but the whole copyright thing. But if you check the video that I'm going to leave in the show description, you'll see what I mean when I talk about the beat. As a former educator that has worked in middle school and high school, I can honestly tell you that I never considered the importance of my students and athletes, because I was also a coach, having not just friends, but a healthy set of friends. If as a student you were able to come to school every day and make good grades, I'd say you were on the right track to being a successful high school student and doing well after high school. You know, when parents would contact me, I don't know if I can ever remember a time when a parent contacted me about their students not having friends. Now, I do remember a parent contacting me about their daughter dating boys when the parent, told her she was not allowed to date boys. They wanted me to police who their daughter interacted with at school and then report back to them. Yeah, that conversation didn't really go anywhere, because that's not a role of an educator. If you don't want your daughter or son to date, you should probably communicate that to them and have some really good consequences if they decide to do so anyway. Contacting the school to monitor her interactions with boys is not something the school can commit to doing. So that's the only conversation that I've ever had regarding social interactions. I don't remember ever having a meeting with a parent about them being concerned about their kid not having any friends at school. It wasn't until I transitioned out of the classroom and into a more administrative position that I started to really observe more elements that needed to be considered when looking at the overall middle school or high school experience from a student's perspective. Having friends in your life is a big deal. Not having friends in your life can have major effects on your overall quality of life and your educational experience. Good friends are actually good for your health and your well-being. Having friends prevents isolation and loneliness and gives you a chance for companionship. Friends can also increase your sense of belonging and purpose, boost your happiness and reduce your stress, improve your self-confidence and self-worth, help you cope with personal and family challenges, and also encourage you to be active and do fun things instead of just staying at the house being lonely. So if you are a parent watching this today, I have a question for you. Does your child have any friends? And if you are saying they do, how do you know this to be true? Do friends come over to the house? Is your child invited places? Do they talk about their friends? How do you know this to be true? And if you are a teacher or someone that works with kids or teens, can you think of anyone that is constantly sitting alone, playing alone, or getting constantly left out? And is there anything you can do as the adult to encourage connection? You know, a while back, I was having a conversation with my niece who was about to go into the 6th grade. We were discussing the options of her 2 middle school choices. She was telling me and her mother the pros and cons for both schools. When it came to friends, she said that attending one school was a good idea because she knew she would not have a problem having friends because most of the kids from her current school and class are going to be attending that school. But then she said that attending the other school was exciting as well because it would give her an opportunity to start all over again, making new friends and have an entirely new friend group. She still has not made up her mind which school she is going to go to, but after our conversation, I was confident in knowing that no matter what school she attended, having friends was not going to be an issue. But here's the thing, after our conversation, I started wondering about how someone, especially young kids, figures out who should earn the title of a friend and who should stay in the associate role. And how does a parent, teacher, or anyone that works with kids have these kinds of conversations? And that's the reason for this video. Because the quality of anyone's life depends heavily on the quality of their relationships. Dysfunctional, toxic, unhealthy relationships can lead to not only a dysfunctional life, but a miserable middle school and high school experience, which wreaks havoc on your mental, physical, and emotional health. So you're probably wondering, how do we enter into a conversation with our kids about who they choose to call a friend without being judgmental or critical in their current friend selection? Well, here's something I used to do when I worked in education to help manage some of the friendship drama that occurs on a lot of school campuses. You observe through this example that my approach is based more on inquiry and not judgment. So after a student had come to my office or I had encountered them in the hallway and they had explained the reason for the argument or the fight, let's keep it real, I would start asking questions. Now, the timing of these questions and the cadence of the questions is key. If the student is still angry and their heart is still escalating, they might not be in the right frame of mind to answer any questions, and pressing them to do so might result in an angrier child. You also don't want to ask a lot of questions all at once and turn the conversation into an interrogation. So being able to read the room is key, whether this conversation is successful or not. So as I sat or stood, depending on where I encountered the student, and listened to them explain their current situation with their friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, teacher, parent, I would lean in with curiosity and nod my head and not interrupt. And then when they were done, I would ask questions that demonstrated that I was very empathetic in their hurt. If it was a situation where someone had shared their business or there was an infraction in a relationship, something that was shared is now on social media, someone they were dating is now dating someone else, you know, the list goes on and on when you're in schools. I would ask questions that let them know that I could understand their pain. Oh, wow, that must be hurtful. Wow, that's crazy. So you liked them first and then they went and dated them? So once we had that connection where I am understanding their anger, their hurt, their pain, or whatever emotion is being displayed, that is when I would ask questions. How long have y'all been friends? Has this ever happened before? This is a really good question to ask because it helps me figure out if this is a pattern of behavior. But if the infraction or the injury has happened multiple times, at the appropriate time, circle back and have conversations about signs that could have been missed. Because we need discernment in our relationships. We need to make sure that the people that we are sharing our most personal information with has earned that right. And students need to be given the tools and the skills to discern that. So we start asking questions about, is this the first time this has happened? How did you become aware of the situation? Is this someone that you considered a friend? Do you consider them a friend now? Again, this is probably not something that you want to ask in the moment, but it's something that you want to circle back to, because moving forward, you want to make sure that they have the skills and the tools that they need to make sure that this incident doesn't happen again. Doesn't mean they're never going to be hurt. It doesn't mean that they're never going to encounter disruptions in friendships, but there should be a lesson learned as they move out of this current situation. So as you're having conversations with your students and you really want to get an idea of the quality of friends that they are selecting, a good place to start is with values. In order for your student to start being more mindful of the people they attach the title of friend to, they need to have a good idea of the descriptive characteristics that a friend needs to embody. And so it's just a simple question. What do you look for in a friend? What values? Explain values in a way that is appropriate for their age. What are 3 things that you need for your friend to be able to do or have or be? Give them some examples. Do they need to be polite? Do they need to be friendly? Do they need to be honest? And then here's important. Do they only need to display these type of values with you, or do you need to see them displayed with other people? Another question, what is the definition of a friend? This is their personal definition. What do you consider a friend? If you had to come up with the definition of a friend, what would that definition be? Values and friends. Because now when we have conversations about drama within friend groups, I don't have to attack or judge or be critical about a person. I can tie it back to the values definition that the person stated they needed in a friend. And so if they stated that one of the key values of a friend is that they need to be honest and trustworthy, so then I can say, well, seems like in this situation, this person was not very trustworthy. You think moving forward that this person still earns the title of a friend. It's not so much about what this person did, because we can't control that, but we can control who we give a title of friendship to and who we share our most vulnerable information with. And so we teach kids at a young age to set a boundary. It also prevents them from wanting to be friends with people that don't share their values. There's a reason why y'all aren't friends, because according to your values, they don't meet that requirement. If you're telling me that this friendship means so much to you, then you are willing to change your values, that's a different conversation. These conversations help your student, your child, develop critical thinking, because it makes them question some of their own choices. It's never too late for a kid to start to have criteria for the people that they consider friends, because down the line, as they get to be adults, they're not going to have to worry about dysfunctional relationships, because they have criteria for the people that earn the title of friend. So here's your homework. I want you to have a conversation with whatever youth is in your life. If you're a parent, have the conversation with your kid. If you're a teacher, this is a really good discussion to have as a classroom discussion. Everybody pull out a sheet of paper. We're gonna write down 5 qualities or values that someone that you call a friend needs to have. You can give them some examples to kind of get them started in their own thinking. Give me your definition of a friend. I used to make the students that used to always get into these friend entanglements, I used to make them write down their values of a friend and their definition of a friend and keep it on their body. It'd be on their phone or something, so that when we had an issue, I can say, okay, pull out your paper. Let's go through, let's look at your values. Because then it was less about the person. It was more about, okay, this is the second time this has happened. And this is a value that you hold true. So either the friend needs to change or your values need to change. It's a really good conversation that can really help a lot with some critical thinking and make sure that there is criteria for the type of friendships your child or your student has. really good conversation to have, even as adults, to make sure that when we give the title of a friend, that they've met the necessary criteria. We are called to love everyone, but everyone doesn't get the same access. So we need to put some boundaries in place to make sure that the people that we call friend have earned the title and have met the criteria. This is Coach A.T. Moore, and this has been A Different Conversation. Thanks for watching.